Money.
I'm not a realtor, but I am a mortgage professional. But I want to switch myself over into the realtor arena today. And I just want to talk about some tips in purchasing new construction. There's a lot of new construction going on, especially in the Pacific Northwest. And it's a great thing. It means that we actually have a little bit of land left, and it means our economy is recovering, which is great. And there's a demand out there for new construction. So I want to give you some tips on what to be thinking about if you're thinking of purchasing a new construction home versus just your traditional purchasing from a traditional seller. So first of all, find a great agent. Now, most important is the agent has experience in representing new construction. Now, you've got two options. You can work with the site agent, and I'm going to give you some pros and cons there. But working with the site agent is, first and foremost, you need to know that they do work for the builder, or they work for the marketing company that has a relationship or a contract with the builder. And so the benefit of it is they know the structure better than anyone else. They know the builder, and they know what things the builder is looking or what would be appealing to them. So that's a benefit of working with the site agent, the agent that actually is sitting site and representing that builder. The downside of it is they work for the builder. So they have a relationship there, which means that they're looking at the best interest of the builder. If there was anything that was going to come up that could cause issues or some conflict and stress back and forth during the process, which I'm sure listening today, you know that things can go a little not perfect all the times when you get under a real estate contract. So there's the benefit and the downside of working with the site agent. The other option you have is you can work with an agent that does not represent the builder. So you're bringing in your own real estate agent. I think that's a really good thing to look at. Again, just make sure that they have experience in new construction. Here's a tip. Ask your agent to check the site registration policy before you go. Your agent may be able to register you online so you can visit the model property at your convenience, or you can arrange a time. Sometimes they do want the site agent to actually show you that, but so have them check and see what the registration policy is so that you can be prepared for that. Now, be creative during the negotiation process. If you have an opportunity, sometimes in this environment right now, there's not a lot of opportunity and creativity, but I want to talk to you about this. Builders don't like to drop price. So unlike maybe a resale purchase, maybe you're looking at lowering the price in a negotiation strategy. That's the worst thing you can do with new construction. The builder does not want to drop price. That would be the last thing that they want to do, because then that's going to set the price for new buyers that are coming in. What is a better thing to do is to look at asking for closing costs to be paid, or look at upgrades. Now, your upgrades, that's a dollar for dollar drop price, or have them pay for upgrades. It's the same thing, because upgrades is going to cost you money up front, or you're rolling it into the cost of the property. Paying closing costs, that's probably a better option rather than lowering price anyways, because it's going to save you cash up front. And I know when you buy a new construction home, there's a lot of things you want to purchase for that house. Myself and my husband, we purchased a new construction home. And unlike if you're buying from a seller where the drapes and things are going to come with the home, your appliances, a lot of the time in new construction, you're putting all of that stuff in. So there's a lot of costs that you need to incur. So saving that money up front would be a better option for you anyways. And tip on this, if you're considering an offer, ask your agent to research the builder's negotiation style on prior sales in the community and other developments that they've built to determine if there's particular effect or an approach that's going to be better. So they can do some research ahead of time, and you can be prepared when you're going into the possible negotiation process. Now, get everything in writing. This is really important on any purchase and sale or contract, obviously, that you have, but it's really important to make sure everything's in writing on new construction. Don't sign anything until everything has been negotiated, agreed upon, and written into the contract. If you're considering purchasing a home that is not yet completed, it's very important to have everything spelled out on the home when it's finished. You also want to make sure that you understand and it's spelled out in writing what happens if things are not going to close on time. There's a lot of verbal conversations that can happen, but that's not binding. And so everything, it's important that it must be in writing and all parties have signed it. So a lock is the most common thing because, trust me, new construction, the builders, they want to get this property done as quickly as you do, even, probably even more so. They've got interest that they're paying to the bank on this. But the unfortunate thing with new construction is it always seems that there's overpromise, underdeliver when it comes to timelines. And I'm not sure why that is, but new construction is always behind schedule. So I always tell my buyers, give yourself 30 days grace on top of what they say that it's going to be, especially when you're thinking of locking in an interest rate. So make sure in writing in the contract when you're locking in a rate that it spells out what happens. I mean, who's going to pay for those rate extensions? So you want to make sure that you look at that. A tip for you is builders often use customized purchase agreement documentations in place of the standard forms that you would commonly see in the area. So ask your agent to get a copy of the builder's documents to review in advance. Ask your agent to point out in the agreement what happens if there's any delays on either side, and also what's different from the standard purchase and sale agreement. Next, what you see isn't always what you receive. The fit and finished modeled home doesn't necessarily represent what's coming on the standard. So often the model home is going to reflect a mix of standard materials and fixtures, as well as a handful of upgrades. When touring the model home, make sure that you find out which is which. The important thing is to know exactly what you're going to be getting and what's available, and of course, what it's going to cost you. Keep in mind that the cost can change. The price quote at the start may not be the same as you decide when you move forward. So there's always adjustments that's happening in new construction based on what the market's doing and based on the buyers that are coming in. They're going to be adjusting that. So know that up front. If it takes you a while to make a decision, everything in possibility, good possibility, it could change. Tip, ask your agent to help you get a list of standard features, and if available, a list of common upgrades and their associated cost. Do your research on the builder. I think this is really important. There's some really amazing builders in our local market here, but unfortunately there's some that don't have such a good reputation either. So if you get an opportunity and there's people that have already closed and purchased homes, maybe not suggest knocking on doors, but whatever works for you. I see them walking the kids or walking their dog. Ask them what their experience has been with the builder. That's the best way that you're going to find the reputation of the builder. Obviously online there's lots of resources now. We know in the review process you can't please everybody all the time, and they may have a negative review out there, but you can see from the massive of what's being said on the builder, whether it's good reviews or not reviews. Also talk to your realtor if you're working with a realtor that's not representing the builder, of course, because a builder's representative is going to give you all the positive things about the builder, because again, they're directly tied to them for their future business. But if you're working with an outside realtor, the big builders, they're going to know the reputation that they have, and so they can give you some good feedback as well. And last tip I want to give you before we take it to commercial break is on an inspection. You may think that it's not necessary to pay for a home inspection when you're purchasing a new construction home. It's the exact opposite. You always want to get a home inspection. New homes have problems too, and hire an inspector to make sure that everything's safe and up to code. Even though the new homes have to pass permit inspections, independent verification will qualify the inspector. Is money well spent, and usually they have a year on new construction. The inspector will actually come back out in 12 months to take a look at things and see what else needs to be done, and that coincides with the builder is doing any replacements of things that happen in that first year because you've got a warranty on the home. So just some helpful hints for you if you're thinking at purchasing new construction. Coming up next in the Money Hour, if you're a victim of the housing crisis, there's hope, and I can't think of anyone better than Magnum Law Group to share the most recent changes that's happening. They have helped a lot of my listeners. They're regular participators of the show. And today I have just one of them in studio because they're busy. There's a lot of stuff going on in this arena. Attorney at law, Craig Elkins with Magnum Law Group, building hope to homeowners right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.